No Jake today?
He's done.
He's gotta fix that door, he's gotta fix that door down
Unless he
there.
falls.
Actually, I got it to,
Oh, you got that to work?
yeah,
Okay.
I don't want to mess with it
Yeah,
anymore.
Out at the entrance?
No, into the garage where the trucks
I
are.
don't want to mess with
Daryl's key got jammed in there, he pulled it out, and I tried it.
Oh, boy.
Changed the lock, that's why he jammed the key in the
I
rock,
mean,
so.
you're coming in
Oh,
every
he
day.
knows.
He changed.
it. And guess what? Have fun tomorrow.
Part of his key's still in it.
All right, well, welcome to the budget workshop. Oh, yes. And who are we missing? We are missing a key person here because he's the one who will answer questions, but he shall be here shortly. He was next door trying to solve the sewer problem actually on the left, or on Allen.
Next to you,
Yeah.
you guys didn't connect to the neighbor's sewer, you had to do.
No, we did not. In fact, we don't even run our washing machine to the back anymore. We had a beautiful, beautiful patch of green grass going right down the back of the lawn. Yes. Not anymore. Not anymore.
All right.
Do you want me to start with general fund?
I think that would be good.
Okay.
Although we do have a sewer boss here, but we'll start with
The sewer boss.
And Jake's down at the,
He's done, I
no, we don't want to start with the. So the first page, is the, tax cap. And at a tax rate of $2.12, the proposed, levy is $612,600, which we are under the cap by $39,000. Which I think is a fiscally responsible move. The next page, I don't know that I gave this to you last time, but it's lists the reserves that are currently in general fund.
This is page 2 we're on now?
Yes, I'm sorry. Well, page 2 of the staple, when it was still stapled,
Oh.
it says schedule of
Okay,
reserves.
okay.
A little sheet.
A little sheet, yep. So this is just a more of a, for your information, it's a list of the current reserves in the general fund and their balances as of 5/31/24. And then the next page, I had given this to you, last time I just updated it a little bit. It is a schedule of unreserved fund balance, of what the balance was at 5/31, it was a little over 2.7 million. The unreserved fund balance goal based on our policy is 1.1 million, which is currently a difference of 1.6. Per the budget that's sitting in front of you for 26, we're going to use 721,200 of unreserves to cover expenses, as well as my suggestions of 55,000 for the cat loader trade-in and 67,100 for what's currently in vehicle and sale of equipment, to move those two numbers to vehicle reserves. So based on our fund balance policy, if you chose to, there's about $760,000 to still be moved. I know the mayor and I spoke about this number, and I don't know if you want to explain your feelings on it, Darryl,
Please do.
or you want me to continue?
Well, I know you want to reduce from 2.7 million.
Yes.
And I think that right now, reducing that by a little over $1 million is significant.
Yes,
in terms of that, and I don't see necessarily needing to do it all in 1 year.
and I agree, as long as we have a plan, I
Yeah.
agree with that, I'm good with that.
There are certainly things that maybe we would look forward to next year. We may even be able this year, if not every cent is spent, you know, if we have money at the end of the year going into that reserve, or unreserved fund balance, then I think we can look at what we might need to do next year. There are probably some things that we'll put off from this year. And that's my feeling. I don't want to go all the way down to that goal in one step. I think reducing by 1.1 million right now is good.
Yeah,
Certainly is reducing significantly. But I would not, personally, I'm not in favor of going all the way. I would hold that 760 to next year,
okay,
as we need it.
okay,
That's just my code. So,
So you're in favor of one?
Number one.
I did put in parentheses, as of right now, the fund balance, the unreserved fund balance is a little over 3.4 million, as opposed to the 2.7 that it was on 5/31/24. So we are only going up. So I think that over the summer, we're gonna have this conversation again about putting some money in reserve if we don't do it now.
So we're not on the radar now, but we don't want to be. I know.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's important, it really is.
Right.
You're at two? Which one? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so.
We're not gonna, we're doing number one right now.
This is just what,
She said two.
well,
Well, those were, we went over those last, I didn't delete those from last time we spoke. So, but if you want to move on to the first page of the general revenue, it says page 1 of 2 at the right-hand bottom corner. The thing that has changed since we spoke last week is property taxes. That is currently at $612,600. That's the tax rate at $2.12. And then I added I'm glad I'm looking at this. I double counted 140,000 for CHIPS revenue.
Oh, where you did the adjustments?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you why that was the only
Yeah, I
column.
had
that
a
did
question
it.
Yep.
there, I did check.
So, yeah, it's not 280, it's 140. I'm glad we're having this conversation.
That's
Going to
huge.
open you next week, I guess.
Can I ask for it?
That's huge.
I'm telling it's an 8, we already wrote it down, we have to give it down.
We wrote it down, it's ours. So we did add 95,000 for the CDBG revenue portion, and that was the only differences. Yes,
That 95 that was offset, the Cure in Place pipeline project, so I think that should be in sewer.
it was screwed up again. I certainly did, yes. Yes, you're right.
Okay.
And I added in both places. I added it in both places, so.
I asked for that too.
Thank you.
Okay. So, moving on to expenses. I I added $400 to the municipal dues line of 1920.4. Because the New York, or the Mayor's Association is raising their fees from $800 to $1,200. I don't have an email, I don't remember. Major roads repairs, there was $359,345 added. For crack seal, micro pave. We took $1,000 away from rentals at 5110.428 as well as 5110.429 for topsoil and seed.
I had a question on, safety inspection personnel went from 67 to 77. And safety inspection equipment went from 1,100 to 37,000.
So in the notes, you'll see that there's a vehicle being bought, as well as,
Okay.
and the other one was the salary line that you questioned, correct?
It's a 100 line.
Yeah, safety inspection personnel.
Well,
It's just a piece of the pie. So,
and, he was also hired at a higher rate,
Okay.
so.
All right, thank you.
And then we added 137,420 to AA 5410.2, which is sidewalk equipment and capital. We decreased AA 6410.432, the plants, baskets, and trees, we decreased that $7,000. The facility repairs in AA 7140.433 was decreased $500 for the gazebo ramp.
The what?
The
433.
The,
Gazebo ramp.
Oh, okay, okay.
$600 was put in AA 7989.4 meeting, for meetings. The $600 is for handheld mics. I also increased the zoning board contractual line because for whatever reason I did not put a budget in for that line when we met before. $8,321. And same with group health insurance. I'm not quite sure why I put it low, but I increased that. That's line AA 9060.8.
How about 434, tree removal and trimming? Was 18,550, now we're up to 60 grand.
So thus far, we've spent $30,000 for this current year, and we haven't hit springtime yet.
Okay, so you're anticipating,
That's when we do the trimming, usually the trimming's 20 grand, and then if there's.
that makes sense then, yeah.
We're only taking questions from this line, because you weren't here last week.
And those were the changes for general fund.
And next year's budget, that line ought to be very small again, right? For the tree trimming and removal.
What's that?
So the next year's budget should be very small again, down about 20,000. I would anticipate, looking at historically, maybe every third year, we see a big bump where things get chopped, and then for 2 years, they're relatively
I mean, it's tough to say with.
Tell us about
with
weather
trimming.
damage and
Yeah.
stuff.
See, yeah, that's
And so one, I think last year we took down, trying to think of how many hazard trees down in Case Park. We tried, concentrated along the trail there, so there was a bump there. We had a huge poplar tree, I know over near there that we had to take down, there was one over in Champion. So sometimes, the larger trees are, when they're a hazard, they're expensive, but the annual tree trimming itself, we try to trim 20% of our trees each year. And we usually put that out saying, hey, here's 200 trees, for instance, how much to trim these trees when we give them a list of the diameter of the tree and how large it is. And then also ask them, give us a list or tell us how many of these you could trim for X amount of dollars. And I usually pick a relatively low number compared to what we have budgeted. And historically, we've had a couple companies come back with pretty expensive bids, and then one of them will come back and say, I can trim all of them for $12,000, let's say, or whatever. So it's worked out decently doing it that way, because we went out for bids in the past where we, just said, hey, how much is it for all this? And it was more than we budgeted. So asking it in two ways seems to work out pretty well. Kind of, here's what we have budgeted. I'd love to put a lot more into planning than trimming or removals. But I think with some of the, some of the ash trees, we treat, street trees, we treated some along the trail in Case Park, but there's a lot of them that we didn't, and the ash trees are still an issue. All the ones we treated are still there. And it's about $10,000 every year, every other year, excuse me, to do that. And it's, I think, in a different line. It should be 85, 60, 400 or something, or it's a contractual line that should be bumped up for the EAB treatment. So.
Plus Parks and Recs line, so the line is up.
That's supposed to be right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just talking about 441 there, I saw a big jump. Sorry, I missed the last meeting. I think you guys got a project on
What are the first four?
441 there,
It
replace.
says you're relining, which is in progress, plus Parks and Rec line.
Oh, so you were talking about GG, GG 8120?
20441.
Okay, yeah, that's,
Looks like you had a project on.
no, the in progress means I was getting the numbers together when I submitted the things, and in fact, like the sidewalk one, I didn't update my notes on, that had Park Avenue and stuff, that's actually gonna be Phillips Road.
Well, the number increases for the
Yeah,
reline.
it's for, there's two lines, one of them that we're applying for CDBG, like 95, and it's probably about a $170,000 project, we've asked for 95. The other one is not eligible for CDBG, that's about 160, that's the main line that goes, basically near the town Parks and Rec. It's our line, comes in from Phillips Road and comes in from 250, they wind together there and then go over to our plant, and they go through a wooded area, so it's very important that we line that to stop any root intrusion or any backups in that area, so we want to keep that flowing well. So that's about 160,
Okay.
for about 1,100 feet of it, I think.
That's okay.
So on sewer, I added the 95,000 to the CDBG. I added $100 to the copier lease because I thought that was a little small, what I had started with. And also added the $353,871 to line 8120.441. And those are the only changes for sewer.
I need to know if you guys want to increase what we pay the band. We haven't increased that in a couple of years.
I would like to hear them one more time before I leave.
Have them come and play in front of us.
It's gonna be like the boys, you gotta be sitting back.
Yeah.
Turn around and they can never increase.
Can I ask a question since I'm here? The new pump down here at pump station maintenance, that's at one of the pump stations, not at the sewer plant.
It's a Scenic Village pump station. It's the one near North Ponds. We've been having a lot of problems with baby wipes and a lot of problems with the pump plugging up, so we're gonna get replace the pump and then replace the next one. Just one now and then the plan is to do the other one.
And that was with a grinder style.
That was with a
pump.
grinder style, yeah. The baby wipes are tough. I mean, you go and tell them as much as you can not to put them down, and
All we know.
it is what it is.
Children's center.
The other, the question that I have is the grid conveyor and chlorine analyzer. I don't know, whether or not those are new or why they were not put into
Well,
the whole overall project.
I wanted to put the conveyor in the project, but it's only, there's only so many things you can put in there. I mean, I would have put it in there, but it was another, adding 150,000, and I had obviously I had a list of a lot of things I'd like to put, but there's a limit. So that's why that didn't go in there. And then the chlorine analyzer, I mean, I'm not really sure why it didn't really go in. I mean, that's one of the requirements for our permit is to have the analyzer done at the town, that's along with the shed. So,
Well,
I mean, there's,
you recall, that was a late
It
notice
was a
from
late-
the DEC that we take chlorine residuals.
yep,
Just, manually take them, and then they instructed that it should be an online chlorine analyzer.
yeah, I mean, right now we go down to the town twice a day to grab a sample. So now with once we have that, we won't have to go down there and grab it, it'll grab our samples for us. And then we'll still have to come into the plant for other things, but plus it's a requirement, so.
And the grid conveyor
Yep.
is, we're seeking alternatives, but we went and looked, I brought the plans for the existing grid conveyor that we had. It was replaced in 2005, 6, with the grit removal system, and it's regular steel. And so John, rightfully has a concern that, someday he's gonna go in there and there's gonna be a big puddle, because it's in a pretty harsh environment there. Not only is the grit very abrasive, as you guessed by the name, but it's also in an environment in the wastewater, so it's corrosive as well. And so this is a stainless steel one that's gonna be an investment in something that's gonna last a lot longer. I talked to a local welder and fabricator, brought the plans for the existing one that we have. There was a pesky thing called the copyright on those plans, and so we decided it was better not fabricate based on somebody else's plans.
I did price out, I priced out a steel one first. Steel one was 98,000,
Yeah,
and the stainless is about 150, so.
and
I mean,
Okay.
and it's a steel one, so it's 15 years or so,
Yeah,
or a lot longer than 15
probably in
years.
another 15 years, it'll probably cost 150
Exactly.
Yeah.
for the steel.
Oh, probably, you're an optimist.
Understand it.
And then grit removal is, it's in our influent building. There's, when the flow comes in, there's a bar screen, and then after that, there's, it takes out stuff that I won't be too descriptive about, because nobody's probably eaten yet. And then after that, there's grit removal, and it's a centrifuge, basically, that spins it out, and the grit goes out, and that protects all the downstream processes, all the pumps downstream, because you're getting all that abrasive material out, or a vast majority of that abrasive material out of the flow. So then you're pumping water, and not things that are gonna be harder, and then you don't have to replace pumps and valves and things like that, actuators down the line, so. And that's why, it was pretty good investment.
You guys have any other questions?
So I don't see, I assume we'll have to meet one more time.
I-
See all the corrections.
I will do the corrections and I will send it out, and if you guys feel.
We'll be here Thursday,
I can come Thursday. if
Yeah,
you
that
want.
would be good.
right? So we just, you want us, so we can. No,
Yeah,
huh?
yeah.
It's up to you, but whatever, just gotta be done. Yeah, that's true. We should-
She's at the conference.
Yeah, no, I'll do them and I'll email them out, tomorrow or first thing Thursday, probably tomorrow, so you guys can look at it if you want to.
Did you want to increase the band 3%? We
You
haven't,
mean like more trumpets?
we haven't, we used to give them,
More cowbells?
I mean, I wasn't listening to you at all. I've got a question for John.
Oh.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry,
She's gonna increase the band 3%.
The band.
yeah,
Do you
we
wanna-
haven't done it in 2 years, and
How much is it?
What do we got on down there for now?
and we pay them,
Let's give them a 3% raise.
All the band members?
no, they have positions. So the band director, we give them a budget, and we don't tell them how to do it. They, you know, they buy music, they pay
It's
their
at
people.
7,200 right now.
72.
How much?
7,200.
7,200 right now.
So what is that, 3%?
Where is that?
3% is 7,200.
$210, $200.
Yeah.
2,100.
Yeah.
More cowbells.
Yeah, it's 216.
I just, I can't.
I didn't go with the band.
Is that okay?
I'd like to hear them here first in one meeting.
Yeah, we need to see how good they are.
I don't listen.
I know residents really appreciate it,
They do.
that we have a band.
Gerald's next birthday, they're gonna play in front of his house.
Okay.
Got a show over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
We played at, 9/11.
Yes, they do every year for us. And we, I asked Daryl today if he wanted to, the attorney amount up 3%, and he said he was okay with that. Did anybody have any thoughts on that?
So we just asked to raise it, we didn't get
Or
a
we just
invoice.
told. Yeah.
He does, that's how he invoices it. He tells it, we tell him what you decided, and then he sends us an invoice for that amount. So we don't get an invoice until we usually look and pass this in April.
Yeah, they usually emails and asks how much is
What was
the
budgeted?
charge.
Well, we take away 3%.
Yeah. That's for that one.
Yeah.
Off with his head. So is 3% okay, or
How much is that?
he makes about,
Because there's-
40 grand. so
There's
that's-
3 different lines he goes to,
yeah, because zoning board and village board.
so, he currently is just under 5,700
I
in
mean,
general. Per quarter.
That's quarterly.
Quarter. 25 grand, 24 grand.
That's for the village.
22, yeah, 22,800, and then, that's for village board, and then zoning board, yeah.
About
around there.
30
And
grand.
then, 4420 per year for zoning.
4420 per year. Yeah.
I didn't put it in the sewer, I can put description.
Undisputed.
I've never seen it separate.
that's pretty much what that would pay for the themselves and the bills get.
That's crazy.
Teams on it. That's big.
Okay.
Sure you've had a
Thank you.
chance.
Yeah.
Motion?
You guys all set?
Yep.
I don't have any kind of questions.
Very good.
Anything else?
Besides all those extra digits you put in there, you did, John.
Before you send this out, I wonder if I can just go through my notes and make sure that, because it's
I would
obviously is a work in
appreciate that.
progress, and some of them
Yeah, no.
changed since the first draft.
I'd appreciate that.
All right.
No, I appreciate it if it did have a second look by someone.
I had a question, John, for you. This was on the physical licenses, why it's increased for the three of you guys, or I guess maybe part-time, four, going up 300 from what traditionally has been no more than 100, or 200. That's line,
So we
40,
had
10,
this
400.
conversation last time.
did I ask, well,
Yeah,
I'm not sure
and it was because, one, the price went up, and two, and this part I don't necessarily understand, is how they pick who gets, how do they pick who gets?
It's a random pool, so,
Yeah.
4 or 5 times a year, I get a notification that, hey, you gotta send these 2 people. And it could be, I guess, there's like a 30% chance it's gonna be one of the sewer personnel, each time. So, that's,
And there's
it's a
been a
random
couple of
thing.
people that have been picked multiple times,
Oh, yeah,
2 in a row.
yeah. Yeah, it's a random thing sometimes. I think John gets to go quite a bit.
I go play it.
Yeah.
I just wondered, I mean, historically, I don't see the randomness really hit the sewer very much at all for 3 years, basically. So, I just wondered why all of a sudden,
Yeah, I think it's this one there. And plus, there's a clearinghouse for the federal motor carriers that we have to do a query each year on all the employees. That's a new rule that they have. You gotta, occupational onsite, occupational safety onsite does it for us. They're not allowed. They have to do a query on everybody's license that's got a CDL every year. There's a thing just to make sure that they didn't, he did DWI in Utah or something.
It's,
I saw an email that we should have done this on Thursday. Yeah, responded. So next year, let's plan on that. Like if we have a,
Someone that doesn't like it.
if we have, yeah, but when there's 2 things on the agenda.
And I think since it's the second budget meeting.
Yeah.
there's
Another
less to
police?
it.
I don't know.
jurisdiction, I'm watching this thing from the guys out of West Virginia, but
It's just terrible.
cases wrongly accused of things, and then they get in trouble with the police.
They get another case. It's happening everywhere. It's not just in the news, it's just terrible. I don't know what our whole world is like.
Second.
Not anything you and I understand.
Any other questions? Any other business? If not,
This is not a business meeting. This is a budget meeting. Thursday.
well, all right, then I will ask for motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye. What, anyone opposed?
Me,